And now for an interview with children's illustrator Kate Cosgrove.
Hi, my name is Kate Cosgrove, and I am a professional artist and illustrator. How long have you been an illustrator? I've really been an illustrator my whole life. I've always liked to draw, but professionally I've been working as one since about 2008. How did you become an illustrator? College. I went to art school and I majored in graphic design and painting. I would have liked to have gotten my major in drawing, but the school did not offer it. However, I still got the opportunity to take a lot of high-level drawing classes, and that was enough to make me a much stronger drawer than I was before. What is one of your most favorite things that you've made? I recently completed a piece called Faux Fur that I like a lot. It's a little girl who's out in the woods dressed like a rabbit, and she's feeding a carrot to another rabbit. But I'm never totally satisfied with a piece of art. I'm my biggest critic, and I nitpick and wish I had done things differently. But I think that that's what drives me to keep getting better. I feel like every single piece of art that I do is one step closer to being the kind of artist that I want to be. What inspires you? Most of my illustrations are based around nature and animals and children, and I really like vintage illustration from the 1960s, so I've collected a few of books from that time period. So that's mostly what gets my imagination going. How long does it take you to make a typical illustration? It really depends. If it's for someone else, I spend a lot of unnecessary time worrying about it, and then that makes it take longer. But if it's for me and I'm really feeling inspired, I can complete one a lot sooner. I start out with researching and doing a lot of sketching over and over again on the front end, and then when I get the drawing to its final stage, then I'll start putting it into color, and that can take a few days. And then I'll scan it into my computer and fix any errors that I see. Your pictures have a magical quality and a dreamy quality to them. How do you achieve this? I'm not really sure. That's just sort of how they come out. I think I'm always trying to make the kind of art that I wanted to make as a child. So I try to get sort of into that frame of mind, and I like the possibility of magic. I like to believe in things like Bigfoot and Nessie and fairies and unicorns and things like that. So I don't know, I guess it's just an imagination piece of it. Can you explain the process of how you create an illustration for a book? Well, I start out worrying, like a lot, and feeling really sick to my stomach. And then I read through the story several times to get a sense of the characters and the setting. And I like to look through the old books that I have on hand of illustration and art that I like. I look on websites a lot. Pinterest and Google image search are excellent resources, and they kind of get my imagination going, color schemes and things like that. And then I just start drawing over and over and over again. I do little tiny sketches, quick sketches called thumbnail sketches, and then I work them into bigger, more detailed sketches as I get going. And eventually when I get it to the point where it's practically perfect, but it'll never be perfect because nothing's ever perfect, then I'll start working color into it, and like I said before, I'll scan it into my computer and smooth over any sort of issues that I might see. Let's see. Your work has a lot of layers and sections and patterns. How do you create them? I think that comes from the fact that I use a lot of different materials on top of each other. So I might use like a little collage, which is if you tear something out of a magazine and glue it down and then put paint over it and pencil and marker, crayon. So it tends to come out that way, just the nature of using a lot of different types of mediums. What do you use to color your illustrations? I use anything that has the color I want. I know there are a lot of more traditional people who use gouache, which is an opaque water paint, or oil paint, which you have to be really careful with oil paint because it can actually make you sick if you're not wearing gloves and you don't have a properly ventilated studio. I just like to use everything, and I might tear a patch of a photograph out of a magazine, or I might see a crayon that I like that's kind of cool. On my latest project, there was this blue that I wanted, this specific blue, and I ended up finding it in my daughter's Crayola washable markers. So I ended up using that and it worked. Do you want your subjects to stand out from the backgrounds or to feel part of them? I guess that depends on what the subject or what the purpose of the illustration is. Like, for example, if I'm drawing a child lost in the woods, then I want them to become part of the background and be sort of tangled up in it. But if the viewer is to focus directly on the character, I would tone down the background or zoom in really close on the character's face or have no background at all. How do you plan for a picture before you create it? I look at other things. I'm a really visual person, so I might just Google words that are appropriate that go along with it and see what images pop up. I follow a lot of different visual artists and people who collect visual art on Pinterest, and that gives me a lot of ideas, and then I'll kind of research those further. But also sketching is, I have to work it out with pen to paper and just spend a lot of time sketching. Do you have any advice for my students on how they might plan out their illustrations before they make them? Sketching. Sketching is key, and that means that you have to repeat your sketch over and over again until it's right. So you have to, and I fight the urge to be lazy. There will be times where I'll think, well, it's good enough, I'll just leave it, and then I'll think, I need to go one more time and just really get it to where I need it to be. And every once in a while, you'll come up with a sketch that you'll get on the first try, but most of it, you don't. And it usually is a stronger piece the more time you put into the sketching. Sketching is like exercising. Like it makes your art stronger, just like exercise makes your body stronger. Can you show us your studio? My studio is really messy, but I will do a zoom around here. Okay. So here. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty small, just a small room. Can you show us the tools or materials that you like to use? Okay, my favorite thing in the whole world is my light table, which, let me see if I can, it's my drafting table here. And it's really cool too, because it has this neat button where I can make it go up or down, and then tilt it back and forth, which I won't do because it'll smash my computer. My other important piece of equipment is my scanner, which I covered in stickers that I like, and I have just all kinds of markers. Sharpie markers are really good. I like to get all different colors. I do a lot of illustration by hand, so I have a lot of pencils, and I don't use anything fancy. I just use regular, I like mechanical pencils, I guess, or what they're called, because it helps keep a really sharp tip. If you don't have a light table, which most people don't because they're kind of expensive, you can use your window on a sunny day. You can hold your initial sketch under a piece of blank paper on a window and draw that way. Just be sure you wear sunglasses so that you don't burn your eyeballs out. It's hard to be an artist when you burn your eyeballs out. Okay, can you show us a work in progress? Sure, I'll show you the work in progress of the piece that I actually like. which is the Faux Fur that I recently did. So this is how Faux Fur started out. It was just a really quick sort of scribble of an idea. And then I did this next sketch that was a little more advanced. And I just use whatever's on hand. Sometimes I'll use a pencil, sometimes I'll just use a marker. I did this in just a gray marker that I had on hand. And then I used a pencil and sort of fine-tuned the characters in it that I wanted to do. And then I wanted this to be a bigger than normal version, so I sort of grew them and made a larger sketch. And then, hang on, sorry. This is what I got the final drawing down, and I was able to put it into color. Are you inspired by other artists? I'm always inspired by other artists, especially people who've gone before me in different eras, because I like the way that they think differently than what's just popular now. And one of my absolute all-time favorite illustrators is a woman named Alice Robinson, and you'll have to Google her. She did some really just incredible work in, I think, the 1960s. I have a few books that she has illustrated, and they're still just a really great jumping off point for me when I'm stuck. How much input does a client have into what you create? A lot. That's the nerve-wracking part. If I'm not doing a piece for myself, if I'm doing one for someone else, sending them your art and then waiting to hear back is very nerve-wracking. But usually most people are pretty kind. It's hard not to take it personally, though. You have to just really have a thick skin sometimes. Do you ever have to say no to something because you do not like it? You have to be really careful not to be difficult, because as an artist, your reputation is everything, and if you're just some diva who is hard to work with, you will not get any repeat customers, and then you'll be poor and you'll starve to death. So I try to look at pieces that I do with other people as it's a collaboration. So it doesn't just belong to me, it belongs to them, and we both have to compromise. And I mean, if it was something absolutely terrible, then I will say, no, I don't want to attach my name to this, and I'm not comfortable. But I try to be a good partner and make it so that it turns out to be something that both sides are happy with. How do you stay focused while you work? Do you play music? Do you take breaks? I drink a lot of liquid. It's sort of weird. I mean, it's not totally weird. I drink black coffee for the caffeine, and then I drink a lot of tea and water, and I eat a lot of dark chocolate. And if I'm listening to things, if I need to concentrate, I like to listen to this musician named Zoe Keating. She does this really cool stuff with cello and her computer, and it's good music to kind of keep me focused. If I'm doing work that's sort of a little more not mindless, but I don't have to focus as hard, I like to listen to podcasts or books on tape. What do you do if you make a mistake? I try not to believe in mistakes. I think most times you can recover from what might start out to feel like a mistake. I think it's just an opportunity to cover it with some thicker paint and try to turn it into a happy accident. Because there have been some times where I've really thought I screwed something up, and then I just keep working at it until it turns into something cool that I would have never done by choice. What advice do you have for my students before they start creating their illustrations? Be brave. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't be lazy. You need to practice and you need to sketch and resketch over and over again. And then be proud of yourself for being brave and working really hard. You can do it. I believe in you. Thanks.